another Highland League weekly Friday preview show. Then back to league business this weekend. Where do you want to start, guys? Let's not start with our featured game. No, I know what you're thinking, Maverick. But Banks of D against Inverurie Loco stands out for me. Two sides had great wins last week in the first round of the League Cup, coming up against each other in the league. Who's going to come out on top?
Tough to call, to be honest, because Banks of D are unbeaten at home so far this season, but then most of Inverurie's best performances and results have been away from home, so it's just, I mean, I really sit in the fence with splinters and all the rest and probably say draw, but I think Banks of D certainly fancy it again. I mean, that win for them last weekend in the League Cup was a huge result and a great result, and they're looking to try and put a run together in the league and get themselves off the bottom, etc. So they'll be well up for it. Inverurie, I mean, they've shown they're capable. I mean, they've gone to Fraserburgh and won twice this season, so no reason why they can't do it again. And there's a bit of friendship and banter, I'm sure, there with Neil Gold and Mark Young and the Banks of D team coming up against some of their pals.
Sit on the fence at Spain Park, Paul. You're either going to fall in the river or on the railway line, aren't you?
Home win. That's all I need to add to Callum's in-depth analysis.
Right then, our featured game this week with highlights and reaction will be Fraserburgh against Buckie Thistle from Belsley, a game that needs no interruption. Well, it doesn't. I hope it doesn't get an interruption. No introduction.
And you haven't given it one with that.
Noted. We discussed on Monday the differing form of the two teams at the moment. Buckie very much sort of like rattling off the results. Fraserburgh, bit of a sticky spell at the moment. They're 1-1 draw at Forest. They then went out with the League Cup 2-1 against Inverurie at home. I mean, it's still Fraserburgh against Buckie though, is it? It could still go either way.
It's a game that needs no hype more than what it already is, because it's a huge fixture, but I will do it anyway. I think this is a season-defining game for Fraserburgh. It's win or bust for their Highland League title chances for me.
I would agree that I think Fraserburgh need to win, but I think Buckie's approach is also that they need to win. I don't think, I mean, if it was to finish up a draw, you might go, that's not the worst result for Buckie, but they're level in points with Brechin and now having played a game more, and I think their approach is very much, we can't afford to drop any points at the moment, and we need to really stick with Brechin before there's a big head-to-head with the two of them next month. So I think it's both teams probably look at it in that regard. I mean, it's interesting if you look back at sort of recent results. I mean, the last 3 league games between the sides, Buckie have taken 7 points out of 9. So you either think that would continue, or you maybe expect Fraserburgh to turn up and sort of get a result that they're maybe due. I mean, it's one of them. It's so tough to call.
It's
really.
a cup final game.
It is, and I mean, there's so many match winners in both sides, really. So how you make a prediction is just guesswork, to be honest with you. It's most of this programme is. But
time for some more guesswork here. Clatnacudden against Huntly. Clatnacudden sore loss in the League Cup against Turriff United, 4-0. Probably, I think we've said a few times, maybe haven't got the results they maybe deserve this season, but you've got to go out and get those results, I suppose. Huntly, though, kind of back to their standards in recent fixtures.
I mean, it's two sides named the best of form. Clach, it's 1 win and 1 draw in 10 games, which, you know, it's for the players they've got and the heights they've hit in certain games isn't good enough. But then it's at the same time it's a tough league, kind of every week you've a difficult challenge. Huntly haven't really come out on the right side in recent games, but I mean, in their last 5 league games, I think they've played Brechin, Fraserburgh, Inverurie and Brora, but that's quite a tough run, but they've competed in every game, so I think on that basis you would probably have to make Huntly favourites, but if you get Clark on
a good
day, then they can blow any team away, really.
Okay. Keith against Wick Academy is going to be our second highlights game this weekend. How do you see this one going, Callum? It's another one for me that I'm not too sure, because both teams have shown bits and pieces, but I mean, I don't think Wick's league form has been too great.
Well, they obviously weren't in action last weekend, but a fortnight ago they beat Devon Vale at Harmsworth Park, which was their first league win since August. It's interesting though, because I was looking through it, and the 16 points Wick have got, only 3 of them have been picked up away from home. The majority have been, good results at Harmsworth Park. So whether they can improve a bit on the road remains to be seen. Certainly in their last game against Devon Vale, Gary Manson was a lot happier with their play in the final third, creating chances and scoring, which has been the problem. And it's a bit with Keith, it's kind of which Keith team you're going to get. It's a bit Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks performance is really good and they maybe haven't had anything to show for it, and then other weeks, like the Nairn game, Craig Ewan said they didn't play particularly great, but apart from a slightly controversial injury time equaliser, they would have won that game. So it's sort of difficult to place. I mean, I think there's other games would be the same, but if you were putting a coupon on, this would definitely be one to avoid for me.
Lost about Devon Vale, would that be one to avoid as well? To me, we know Devon Vale have got players in attack, maybe concede easy goals at times. Lossiemouth have been good at points this season, tend to be stronger at home, don't they?
They do, but I think Lossie will be bristling a wee bit from their disappointment at home in the cup against Nairn last weekend. So they'll want to bounce back, and Devon Vale need a result. We say that most weeks. It feels like they're capable, and as we touched on in Monday's show, there's been so many close or decisions that have just gone against them, or little incidents where maybe they haven't got a reward for their spells of pressure when they're in topping games. You keep thinking it's got to turn at some point, but will it be this weekend? I'm not so sure. I expect Lossie to respond. You
mentioned Lossie bristling. It's interesting because they didn't really get going against Nairn last week, and another game where you could probably throw that at them was second weekend of the season when they lost to Devon Vale at Banff. So I wonder if that plays into it. I mean, it's a big week or so for the Vale, because Lossie this weekend and next weekend they're at home to Strathspey, and it's 2 games where if you could win them, they would put themselves quite a long way clear at the bottom of the table.
Rothes against Nairn County stands out for me as a game of, again, 2 teams that are in form. I know Rothes lost to Brechin in the cup, and no shame in that, but we've watched Rothes, get a result against Bankside on Highland League Weekly Extra. We know Nairn have been flying under Stephen Mackay.
Who's going back to his old club?
Yeah, it's all set up. It's all set up to be a brilliant game, isn't it?
Paul McLeod and Wayne McIntosh doing likewise as well, going back to Rothes. But it's 2 sides. I was looking again, last 4 league games, Nairn have taken 10 points out of them over the same period. Rothes have taken 9 points out of 12, so that's 2.
Score draw, is that what you're saying?
Well, there were 2-2 earlier in the season at Station Park as well, so I think that might be where I would be leaning again, really, because it's 2 sides that have really kicked on. They've both got goals in their team at the top end of the park, so I would kind of have to lean towards a draw, really.
Turriff United against Brora Rangers at the Hacks. Turriff are a team that, against the big boys, despite how good they've been in games this season, against the big boys, they tend to, maybe not compete the way they want to compete, and certainly will want to compete in the future. Do you think this weekend they'll offer a challenge to Brora?
They'll offer a challenge, but I think again, but Turriff had a very good result in the cup to beat Clark 4-0. They'll be buoyant after that one. However, Brora will be looking to bounce back because they've had a player sent off, the penalty decision, then losing penalty kicks to Banks D in the Cup. So they'll be coming down, looking now at the league as being their main focus between now and the end of the season. That gives Brora the edge at the Hawks.
Concur?
I would have to. I mean,
You don't have to.
No, I think you made some sensible points. I mean, the only sort of factor which I always mention with Turriff is, I mean, don't know if Aaron Reid's going to be available or not, but you've got him and Ewan Clark with, if they both play, they've got 32 goals between them in all competitions this season. So when you've got that threat,
a puncher's chance.
You've always got a chance when you've got that threat.
Hacks for attacks, as I said on the previous show. Brechin City against Forest Mechanics. Again, tasty one. Forest going well in recent times. One of the sides that's looking really strong outside your sort of, your top, 6 sort of big teams. Do you think, I mean, they're another side that maybe at times would have come up against those big teams that maybe haven't competed as well as they would have liked. Do you think they'll manage to test Brechin?
They pushed Bucky. Yeah, I think
they competed well with Bucky and
took a point from
they
Fraserburgh.
competed very well with Fraserburgh.
I forgot about that game, sorry. The Fraserburgh one I will concede.
And they played very well at Bucky the week before that.
You can concede the Bucky one as
concede
well.
them both, Ryan.
I was
Come on now.
remembering that one.
He's just not conceding it, even though
After that game, Graham Stewart thought Bucky could have won 6-0.
But Graham Stewart always thinks that. We're talking about.
I just take what Graham Stewart says as gospel.
Well,
But,
so do his players, and that's what matters.
my point would be with Forest, on a
Serious note.
after we've argued the toss about that, my point would be, really, for Forest, I think it's as good a time as any for them for this game to come along. They've competed well, or we think they competed well in games, and they've had a good win to get through in the League Cup last weekend. Sorry, folks.
It's been a long week.
It has been last weekend to get through in the League Cup. And again, with the players, Ben Barron, Ethan Cairns, young players who've got good attributes, physicality, pace, etc. Callum Johnston, who Stephen McDonald's been praising a lot. They've got a chance. But by the same token, I think Brechin, particularly with one of the games elsewhere, will be looking at it as a chance to either go further clear of Fraserburgh or go clear at the top of Bucky, or in an ideal world for them, probably both. They're probably hoping for a draw. So it's the sort of game where probably, as much as I've praised Forest, I don't see Brechin slipping up, because I think they know it's one of those weekends where it can make a difference in the context of the season.
We're shameless, are we? We're sitting here talking up Forest and saying how well they're doing, but we're sitting going, actually, I think Brechin are probably going to win with home advantage and everything that's at stake for them. I'm with Callum.
Do Brechin want Fraserburgh to win this weekend?
Brechin want a draw,
I would say they want a draw.
because you want as many teams impacted that are trying to catch you as possible.
Strathspey Thistle against Martin United is the final game to talk about. Difficult one, this one, for the Granton Jags, isn't it? Might not be one that they pick up points towards their bid to climb the table.
It is a tough one, but Strathspey have won a game, and they're at home, they'll be looking at that Devon Vale game thinking, if we can get something here, and then ahead of the Vale next week, this could be a very good couple of weeks for us as well, just the same way as Devon Vale will be looking at the next 2 league matches. So again, much like Fraserburgh, I think it's a cup final for Strathspey this weekend.
I think, again, it depends a wee bit what Strathspey you get, because against Clark they kept that valuable clean sheet, and then the next game, which was a fortnight ago, they lost 7 to Banks D. So I think really, even if you don't get a result heading into that Vale game, you don't want to take a real heavy beating, which for Martin a capable addition out. You, like Charlie Brown, I think first and foremost, you're looking for them to be tighter defensively, compete better and stay in the game, and then you go from there. And if you do those things, you've got a chance of taking something out of it. But if you're going to give Julian Wade, Johnny Smith, and the
long
man,
throws.
the man then the man of the moment, Johnny Crawford, if you're going to give them chances, you'll be punished. And I mean, that long throw, I mean, when we've seen Strathspeys' defensive frailties at times, that long throw of Matthew McLean's would concern me.
Wouldn't count if it went straight in the net, would it?
No.
No, it needs a touch.
Damn it. The dream is over this season. Anyway, just a reminder then that our games this weekend that we'll be filming for Highland League Weekly are Fraserburgh against Buckie Thistle, highlights of the action from Belsley on that one, and Keith against Wick Academy from Kyneck Park. So you can tune in to watch highlights of those at 7 PM on the Press and Journal website on Monday. But before then, enjoy the football, whichever games you're watching.